Well, hello everyone and welcome to Yorkshire Gamer. And today I have got a very special flip through stroke review of a new-ish set of rules called Never Mind the Billhooks Deluxe. And this is by Andy Callan, and those of you with decent memories will remember a couple of years ago, back in September 2020, Never Mind the Billhooks came out as a pamphlet set of rules that were free with Wargames Illustrated, and a lot of people picked them up. My mate Chris Breeze, Robbie Roddis as well, they were really into it. And there was weekend games where people would come and play 5 or 6 games of it, and it's been reviewed and renewed and had some sparkle dust put on it, and this is what we've got. It's been sent through to me by the editor of Wargames Illustrated, and I've received this copy for free, so let's just get that out of the way before I do the review. But what I will say is this is Yorkshire Gamer, so I'm going to tell you how it is, and I'm going to tell you the positives and negatives that I've found just through having a read through this book. Another caveat, I haven't played Never Mind the Billhooks. It's designed for small battles and big skirmishes, but I have seen people play big battles with it, so it is possible. But at present, other than the figures that you saw at the start, I don't have any Wars of the Roses stuff. So this is it. This is a fresh review. You'll probably get a different type of review from somebody who's played Never Mind the Billhooks quite a bit, but I'm giving you this fresh out of the bag. So let's open the book and have a look. So it is 180 pages. It is like a stiff back cover. Immediate impressions are it's very well put together. Lots of really nice photographs, lovely colour illustration, as you can see on the front. And in terms of professionalism, it is absolutely superb. And the price point on this is £25. Now, I think that is really, really good. A lot of Wargames rules that are sneaking up towards 40 quid. And they're probably as well put together as this is, but £15 more expensive. There's going to be a PDF version coming out in November, which is going to be £5 cheaper, depending on which one you particularly like. So let's delve in and have a look what we've got. I've had a read through. As I said earlier on, I've not played the game, and we've got an introduction, contents section, and then a brief run through by the author about the Wars of the Roses. Moving on then to contents page, nicely laid out, big unit headings, and something that we discussed on the podcast recently, there isn't a full index in here, and that's my first criticism. A lot of people, including myself, like indexes in rule sets to be able to zoom in immediately on a particular problem that we can look up in an index. But it's not here, so I can't say any more than I'd rather have one. And then with traditional rules these days, it's very much from the point of view, and rightly so, of a new player. So you have a what's needed to play, what stuff you need for your organisation, what you're going to need to play a game, and basic explanations of troop types, etc. And lovely pictures all the way through of some, nicely painted figures, as you would expect on anything of this particular case. Now, we've got sections on points. I feel should I go over my spine. Leaders, and then talking about the turn sequence. I'm not going to go into the details of how the game plays. There's lots of playthroughs out there on the internet. This is a review of this new Deluxe book and a flick through, so you can see what you're going to get if you choose to purchase in that. Decks with special events, something that we very much love here. Really add flavour to your game, so I'm great to see that they're involved. And then we start to go into the rules themselves. We're talking about orders, actions, etc. And one thing I do very much like about this is these pages, these explanation pages, and we've got Wargames units out on the table, and it's talking you through the process of how you do something. Some people are visual learners, some people are reader learners, and this book does both. You know, you can read it and then reinforce what you've read by looking at an example on here, and I really like this sort of stuff. It used to be just like little squares, handwritten in the old days, but yeah, very, very good. A little tick in the box for that. Movement, and it all looks fairly basic. Everyone, you know, has a standard move type based on their armor and whether on a horse, etc. So no big shakes there. Everything appears to be D6 based, fairly. And this is, I don't mean this rudely, basic. It's quite easy to pick up. It's not the sort of rules I would normally play, but I can see the benefit of it, and I can see how you can pick this up really quickly and have a cracking game with it, as friends of mine do. So it has been recommended as an actual game system to me by a number of people. And saving throws, again, we've got these really great pictures and illustrations of how you do that. Melee, who doesn't want a good melee on a Sunday? And then we are still in melee. Lots more pictures. Lovely picture of a nice castle there. Very nice. Very nice indeed. And then we've got a great double page spread there. Apologies for the little bit of light reflection I'm getting occasionally on here. On melee. And I saw it, and it was a company of 12 archers being charged in the open by a squadron of 8 knights, and I thought, if this doesn't go the way of the knights, I'm not doing this review. But it does. I won't spoil the ending for you. No spoilers here. But yes, there we go. It does go correctly. And then we move on to morale and the various tokens, etc., used in the battle. And then something I particularly like and will be brilliant for older players of the rules, is this summary of new core rules. So if you're used to playing, never mind the Billhooks from the supplement that came out in Wargames Illustrated, then you can zoom in straight on this, see what's changed, bing bang bosh, you're a good one, and you are away. So we're then into history of the 100 Years' Wars. We've got 180 pages, and the first 39 are rules, so that just gives you an idea of the complexity of them. And there's a number of stages or a number of parts of the book now, and I'm not going to go into too much detail with them. I'm just going to flick through as I've done all the way through this, and this gives you a history of the 100 Years' War and some ideas for wargaming, basics of the theatres of conflicts, again with lovely pictures, and then specific rules for the 100 Years' War that would differentiate it from the later Wars of the Roses. So different troop types, different characteristics of troops, different leaders, etc. It's all in there for that particular period. We then move on to some scenarios, which is a particular favourite of mine. I love to see these in rule sets. It's got points in it, so but I know some of you out there like points, so enjoy those if you do. Got objectives and everything. Nice little map. So if you've not played before, you've got a set of figures that you've already got painted up from another rule set. You're straight in there and you're playing a game straight away. So another tick for that. More scenarios there. And then we move on to Bohemia and the Hussite Wars, which I know very little about, apart from they had these really cool battle wagons. And who doesn't want a battle wagon? I think it was First Call many years ago came out with those. And yeah, I nearly, but I didn't. So again, rules and extra pieces for that particular period of history, and then some orders of battle and the scenario. Then we're on to the Swiss and Burgundian Wars. history and special rules, etc. And action lists. So we're expanding the period of history here that these rules can be used for, and another scenario at the end, and then we move on to my beloved Italian Wars. Now, those of you who know me will know that there's a phrase there that says, oh sorry, not on that page, not on that page. There's a phrase there that says, pipe block, 2 12-man companies. Okay, so I'm not going to nit and pick through this because I specialise in the Italian Wars, but there's quite a few things in here that I don't agree with, but it's introducing people to the Italian Wars, and yeah, not for me. I think Italian Wars should be massive units on massive tables, but I appreciate everyone can't do that. So it's an introduction for a number of people to have a go at it, and please do, because the Italian Wars is an amazing period. And I don't like, and I'm sure this is a personal thing, I don't like the fact that my favourite period, which I could write reams and reams on if I had the time, is relegated to 10 pages in a book about the Wars of the Roses. So I might be feeling a bit personal about that, but don't worry. It's great detail in there, explanations of the units, types, etc., and ideas of setting it up, which is lovely. Battle of Seminara, it's a very small version of the Battle of Seminara. Again, all laid out, all army lists, all pointed, if that's your bag, with a map. So you can crack on and play French versus Spanish if you choose to do so. We then move on to Northumbria and the Border Reivers, and I painted some Border Reivers, so I do know a little bit about this. And my mate Ian at Flags of War is just bringing a new range out with some flags and stuff that he does. Absolutely fantastic. So same again, same format, extra rules, extra background, extra scenario, and maps. Beautiful. Then move on to late medieval Portugal. Can't say I've ever thought about that as a period, but I'm sure some of you out there do. And this is, a basic background. And if you don't know anything about it, like I do, or don't, then this is fantastic, because you can just dive in, get a brief premise of what the wars were about, what the unit types were, and if you fancy it, you can have a quick bash with it, can't you? So great introduction to a particular period. If you are, as I am with the Italian Wars, a big fan and a big player of that period, then maybe, if you play Lusitania all the time, you might have the same thoughts about this small section on your favourite period. But it's a great introduction, as I said, with the Italian Wars. And you've got another scenario here. And then we move on to late medieval Ireland, when my ancestors would have been running around smashing each other over the head with big swords, and Billhooks Hibernia rules, and another scenario at the back. So we've got a great section. We're up to 128, so we have got 88 pages of new periods, new scenarios, and new period-specific rules. So great value in there, great value. And then we move on to painting, modelling and kit bashing, which I don't particularly need, and I know there's been a bit of debate about having these in rule sets. I don't need them, but I do like them in rule sets, because Chris Breeze kind of switched me onto this when he was doing his beginner series on YouTube, and people who come into the hobby don't know what we know, and by that I'm speaking to most of my regular watchers who are, let's face it, guys, and well, there are no ladies that I'm aware of, because my YouTube says I'm 100% male and 100% over 35 for my viewers. But if you are out there, whatever you are, whatever gender you are, this is for you. This is the gaming stuff. If you're just starting off, brilliant little introduction into painting, modelling and kit bashing from a guy called Richard Lloyd. Lovely painting there, Richard, very nice indeed. And we've got a context section for this, some pictures of some Sabo bases, and regular listeners to the podcast will know that they have passed muster because they're not really thick Sabo bottoms, so that's all right. There are a couple of pieces in here that do fail the Yorkshire Gamer podcast test, but we'll I'm sure you'll see them in a second. Oh, it's a wet palette. Oh my god. So let me read you this. It saves a huge amount of wasted paint and quite a bit of time. Okay, my opinion, it doesn't. Sorry, Richard, but I've been painting for 40 years. I've got paint that is 25 years old. I really don't need to save any paint. But that's just my little annoyance at the back. Yeah, if you use a wet palette, great. I don't, and I do rave about it quite a lot. He's using Rosemary & Co brushes, which we all know are just knockoffs from Pro Art who are just... No, I'm joking. Rosemary & Co are around the corner from Pro Art. They're in a place called Cowlin, near Skipton, where I am worked for many, many years. And they're nice brushes, but they're not Pro Art. So there we go. And some tips and ideas on painting. And then we move on to a blow-by-blow paint job. Can we say that? It's a great thing. It's step by step. I personally don't paint faces first because it reduces the number of techniques that you can use on armour, and I use a lot of dry brushing and a lot of washes on armour, and you've got this lovely painted face and it just ends up covered in silver. So that's why I do it my way. But no problems at all with the author here. It's a great job. One slight criticism here is I would have much preferred these 4 sections on painting the face to just have a picture of the face, because I'm kind of squinting to see what's happened with the paint, the processes and the difference between the two, because I'm looking at an entire figure rather than a zoom in on the face. Very, very small point, but I would have preferred that. And goes through all the process, and it's a lovely job. It looks really, really good. And unfortunately, it's like Citadel Evil Sons Scarlet. Okay. But the finished result is absolutely brilliant. And I very much enjoyed going through that and having a look at how... I enjoy looking at how different people paint. It's very different to the way I paint, but it's great. And you come up with these finished versions here. Now, I would also have liked to have seen a basic version, because these figures here are fantastic. This is the sort of stuff I would do for a command base or a showpiece or something like that. I'm doing I'm doing units of 96. I've got 128 figures in one pipe block. To get that volume of stuff, I'm not going to paint this way. And also, if I'm new to the hobby, I'm not going to paint this way. So I would have loved to have seen a pretty basic, base coat wash highlight version as well, in maybe 8 steps or something along those lines. Very small. It's not really a criticism, it's just something I would rather see, because this type of painting can put new people off. It's brilliant, it's great, it's something to aspire towards, but if we're going to have something like this in, then I'd love to see a beginner's version as well. So that's just my thoughts on that. Moving then on to modelling. Materials required, a little bit of a chat about green stuff, how to make some markers from spare bits and pieces, and lovely looking things. These are great on the table, much better than a counter or an MDF circle or something along those lines. A lot of work gone into these. Very, very nice. I've seen a couple of them before in various forums, etc., and they are good. Sort of thing that I never really get round to because I'm too busy doing a couple of thousand figures, but they look fantastic, and a little bit of a sort of a diorama here with some guys asleep, just in case any children. They're asleep, they're not dead, in a ditch, which I have to say I wouldn't recommend whilst wearing plate armour. And then we talk a little bit about kit bashing, which is just making models from bits that shouldn't have gone together in the first place, and how to build a figure. I love every single unit, every single figure in my units to be different, so that's great. And then we move on to a section at the back where you have the cards that are used to play for the card-driven system, for various leaders, etc. All really nice graphics, all really good. And then on to the special event decks. So we'll just take this one here at random. Extra arrow supply. When one of your archer companies have shot off its initial allocation of 6 rounds, they will get an extra 2 rounds of shooting. Nice, isn't it? So, and they've got, for those, you've got core rules ones, and you've got ones for the various periods of history as well. And you can make these up yourself as well, I would imagine, and put different stuff in them. And then we've got some backs there as well that you can copy, and some tokens. And at the back, we then go into quick reference sheets for the different periods. And unfortunately, I keep flicking. No index. So there we go. There's a flick through. I've shown you all the way through. It's taken 20 minutes. I hope you're still with me. But positive impressions, very good. Few little minor niggles that everyone is going to have with every set of rules. I'm not that keen on what they've done with the Italian Wars, but that could be just my personal preference. But I would recommend these to anyone who wants to get into medieval wargaming. I certainly would. It's a lot smaller scale than I would normally play, and that's a positive for people getting in the hobby. And it's a way in to start your medieval collection or your early Renaissance collection, and then aspire, which is my go-to word, to go big. And so it's 180 pages. It's a softbound book. It's £25, which, as I said earlier, is really good value. If you're in the States, the figures I've been given is $35 US, and then $49.95. You get to save 5 cents if you're in Australia. But there we go. There we go. Released on Monday the 21st of November, so that's a couple of weeks away. And you can buy the tokens that you've seen, the card decks that you've seen, in separate versions, actual physical cards, actual MDF tokens, and you can also buy the core rules, the additional rules that we've seen as we flick through, separately. You can just use them from the book, or you can have a separate version of them. Talked about PDFs earlier on, so that's brilliant. And you can get these rules from Wargames Illustrated, North Star Military Figures, and Arcane Scenery. And I'm sure they will go out to other hobby retailers. You might even get a little bit of a discount from something like Dave Ryan at Caliber. I'm not sure. And then Ironheart Artisans in the USA, and Karkin Green Books in Australia and New Zealand. So there we go. That's my flick through and review. As I said at the start, some people who have played the game more often will do a more in-depth review on the rules themselves. But I just wanted to show you the book, and then you can make your own mind up about what you want to do with that. So thanks for watching this Yorkshire Gamer book review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you get a copy of the rules. Hope you really enjoy them. And come and see me at one of the shows, and we'll chat about big games. Until then, see you.